And people go, oh, well, Canada Post, you're a dinosaur, and can't we do with less? And then the next day it's, well, we got to order them back to work because we can't do without them. So just pick one, and I'll argue with you over it.
Back on Closer Look on this Thursday night, getting set for baseball again. Hey, speaking of baseball, coming up tomorrow night on the program, excited about this, the host of Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sports Net, Jamie Campbell, joining us on the program.
That's a big interview. That's a great get for right before the playoffs, or right before their playoff series
Absolutely.
starts. Jamie spent many years now kind of in the behind the left field seats, right? That's where his desk is, right?
Second level, 200 level, and that's where he and Joe Siddle or Caleb Joseph sit. And it must be weird, like a fishbowl kind of thing, right? Because you've got thousands of people walking by.
All screaming at you.
Waving. Hi,
well,
Jamie.
that'll be one of the questions. What's the weirdest things a fan has asked you to do for them while you're sitting there? You're really not hidden at all. Like I'm assuming there's like a little bit of a barricade around there, but
I've been there, but it's not much.
Not much?
No.
He didn't invite you on the show?
No, he did not. Anyone athletic, not me, could jump that barricade if they wanted to.
Well, there have been 2 questions already for Jamie.
All right. See? Prep work's done.
Done. Check.
Just like that. Good night, everybody. Tonight, very important show. The Canada Post strike a week today, actually, that it started. Second one since December. And the numbers are staggering. Let me read you some of them. Canada Post has racked up a cumulative $5 billion in losses since 2018. Some nights my diction is not that good. That was with a B, 5 billion. Last year alone, losses hit 1 billion, and this year projected to be even worse. Then there's this reality. Since 2019, Canada Post's share of parcel deliveries has plummeted from 69% to a mere 24%.
It's wild, right? And of course, the federal government last week announced some sweeping changes to how Canada Post operates. They're now going to allow for the end of door-to-door delivery to homes across the country. They are lifted a moratorium on shutting down rural post offices.
Right.
And they're basically saying, the numbers you just pointed at, enough's enough. We need to bring in some drastic change to survive. We're basically insolvent. And we need to do some major changes. And on top of that, the CEO of Canada Post issued kind of an open letter that a lot of news organizations published, including a lot of our sites, explaining to readers why they're doing what they're doing. And of course, this announcement triggered another strike by the Canadian Postal Workers Union.
Right.
Obviously, they have differing opinions on what's being said here and what the spin is. But this is a great opportunity to. We've asked Jim Gallant to come back on the show.
He's becoming a regular.
Yeah, he's a negotiator with the union, and he was on our program during the last strike, and because back then the issue was, is this going to ruin Christmas? But there's a lot bigger issues at play here because the field of play has kind of changed here, right?
Certainly has.
The government's announcing some major changes, or paving the way for those changes that have been kind of talked about for a long time. Yeah. And the union is, again, saying, no way, we don't support this. We're back on strike. Things have ground to a halt. And I'm really interested to hear kind of how Jim feels about some of these changes and what their vision is going forward, what the union thinks is a better way forward. So he's joining us now.
Postal workers are on strike again. The second labor disruption in less than a year at Canada Post. The trigger this time was a major announcement last week by the federal government paving the way for Canada Post to phase out home delivery and axe some rural post offices. Joining us tonight is Jim Gallant, a negotiator with CUPW, the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. Jim, welcome back to Closer Look. It feels like we just did this.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. It might feel that way for you, but it feels like this has been years, right?
Jim, lots to cover tonight, but let's start with the timeline. Canada Post and the union have been locked in negotiations for nearly 2 years now. And if I understand this right, the corporation was just about to table new offers to the union last week when the feds came out with their big announcement. Were you caught off guard?
Were we caught off guard? We were with the announcement. The minister, for the first time in the 2 years that we've been talking, it was the first time the Friday previous we met with him he gave us 30 minutes, and we thought that was odd, and we weren't quite sure what was going on. Minister didn't ask about the things that he ended up putting in his announcements. He asked about things like weekend delivery and there was some load leveling, dynamic routing questions, stuff that a minister probably shouldn't know about, but Canada Post had told him what their problems were, and he seemed to be well aware of what they wanted. He didn't have any idea what we wanted.
Jim, the feds are basically saying, you know what, enough is enough. Canada Post has lost billions. It's essentially insolvent, and some drastic changes need to be made immediately to even keep it going. Are they wrong?
Yes and no. When Doug Ettinger showed up in 2018, 2019, there were billions of dollars in the bank. The cupboard was full, and they decided that they were going to spend a whole bunch of money, and they were going to call it strategic spending. We're gonna update things. They built a plant in Scarborough, the Albert Jackson plant. You look at it, it's you can see 18-wheelers lined up for it seems like a mile there. New infrastructure. They bought some electric vehicles. They are always buying a lot of vehicles. We used to walk the mail. We don't anymore. So they were switching over to mobile routes. So all of a sudden you have a route that used to take a $5 cab ride, and all of a sudden you need a $75,000 vehicle. Those are big costs. They show up on the corporation spreadsheet as correct spending, and there's nothing untoward, but it means that you've spent a lot of money and you didn't necessarily need to. You could have kept walking the mail. They ended up spending all the money that they said they were going to spend, and that was $4 or $5 billion at the time. And then all of a sudden, it became catastrophic loss, and they're talking about a $400 million loss in the second quarter, and $10 million a day now. Well, we're on strike. So I don't know what they expect. Canada Post is not going to be profitable when there's not a collective agreement in place, and and there's no stability behind it, because customers obviously stay away because they're worried their mail won't get delivered. So those are the things that are going on. So do we think that they've lost money? Sure, but one of the things that the minister has said is that there's going to be they're going to update postage rates. We had given him the suggestion that it be done like inflation, and I think that they've taken that suggestion. But in the first two quarters this year, on January 13th, there was an increase in postage that hadn't happened in about a decade, or properly anyway. The postage went up, and the corporation had $370 million, over $370 million in new revenue on the same amount of mail. So if you extrapolate that over the year, it's about $1 billion that's going to come in new. And what was the number that they keep saying that they're out? Oh, yeah. $1 billion.
Jim, remind me, as of today, how many workers do you represent?
It's a little over 50,000. It's always a moving target, but we represent probably about 5,000 less than we did just a couple of years ago, and probably about 15,000 less than we did at the peak. As mail volumes come down, obviously a letter carrier can go to more houses. So because you don't get paid to deliver to the house that has no mail. You only get paid to deliver to the ones that you do.
Okay, so of that 50,000, how many do you worry now could lose their jobs after this announcement?
It'd be in the thousands. We're not sure. The government is it's like a scattershot that they made. They say that they're gonna get rid of door-to-door delivery. Then they're gonna maybe go to alternate day delivery. And they're going to extend the standard for a piece of mail to 7 days. So if that all happened in your neighborhood or at your address, think about that. You're not going to get your mail. A parcel's not going to come to your house anymore. It's going to go down the street. The carrier's not going to go there every day. They're only going to go there maybe every second day. And so, it could be half of the delivery people. Now, that's not half the jobs because there's a big staff inside as well, right? So, but it's thousands of jobs if they were to do what they say they want to do and it all came to fruition.
I want to ask you, Jim, about some of the things that you think they should be doing instead of some of the plans they've announced. But let's go through some of these individual things that they've announced and kind of talk about them. The home-to-home delivery has kind of been a political football for a long time. It's been talked about, thrown out there as something that they may or may not do. I think now it's 1 in 4 houses don't get. Is that correct? I mean,
that's what they're claiming. Yes.
Yeah. Is that accurate? Is that true?
But when they do it, they kind of screw around with the numbers. If you're in an apartment building, sometimes that's to the door, and when you're in an apartment building, sometimes your lobby doesn't count to the door. So they always screw around with the numbers a bit. But it probably is that.
And so, but is it time though that maybe we live in a world where home-to-home delivery isn't necessary anymore?
Well, so. If we were to look at every other delivery outfit in Canada, who else delivers down the street? Does that make any sense? So it's supposed to be a service. It's supposed to be, we're supposed to take care of the elderly and people that can't make it out of their houses. And instead, if you or I want a parcel delivered, I'm going to send Scott a parcel, and Scott's going to send Jim a parcel, and the parcel's not going to go to into his hands, not be attempted to his house. Maybe and maybe it's something that's a little more valuable or whatever. All of a sudden now you've got to use UPS, FedEx, one of those other carriers, and it's for profit, and those profits are going to end up in the United States.
But I guess aren't we already there if 75% of people aren't getting it to their door?
Well, no, the thing is that the number somewhat dropped. Like in my city in Halifax, there's cranes everywhere. So where one house or 3 houses used to be, now there's 80 units above it. So those people get their delivery to their lobby, call it to the door. I consider that to the door, that it's in their lobby. They don't have to get wet. They don't have to get cold in the wintertime. That seems reasonable. But now what they want to do is take every neighborhood, and it turns into a political football because the cities don't want it, but Canada Post can force it. All those things happen. You remember Denis Coderre in Montreal with a sledgehammer trying to get rid of the damn things. So that's it really is, and it really is a problem. And Canadians need to be the ones that make this decision, not the people at Canada Post, and be sure that this decision is not Minister Lightbound's decision. Go back to November last year, look at Canada Post's news briefings. It's their Christmas list. This is what we want for Christmas. Bill Kaplan went in there. The government paid him $500,000 to give them a report. They got the report they paid for. It's exactly what Canada Post said it should be. He ignored 900 submissions from Canadians, municipalities, First Nations, small business, medium business. You can go in. They're all public. They're all available publicly. And he ignored them all and sided with Canada Post. He ignored the union too. Called me a few names. I think he didn't call them in the report, but he at the commission he called me names. And we end up there. And Minister Lightbound then says, "Oh well, I'm going to follow Bill Kaplan." Well, he's not following Bill Kaplan. He's following about 20 executives at Canada Post that go, "Boo-hoo, we can't provide the service that Canadians have already talked about and already have. It says that there will be this service," and they go, "Well, we can't provide it." Well, that's bad management.
You obviously saw that the CEO of Canada Post issued an open letter to Canadians. It was published in a lot of news. I see you giggling and covering your face. It was published
It's not laughter. It's painful.
Well, let's talk about some of that pain. I mean, basically, the gist of that letter is that I think the word taxpayer is in it 7 times, that we need to stop treating the taxpayer this way, and it's the taxpayer that's footing the bill for what's happening at Canada Post.
Go back to November and see if taxpayer was even there one.
That's what I was going to ask you. So
that's the buzzword.
Yes.
It's always buzzwords, right? So now the government is saying taxpayer, so that and they loaned them $1 billion, and the taxpayers loaned the corporation $1 billion. if we had a collective agreement last December, they wouldn't have needed the loan. If they had put the stamp up the way they have now with that extra 370 plus million, because there would have been even more mail in the system. They are screwing this corporation into the ground, and the only outcome that can be extrapolated down the road, and it doesn't have to happen while I'm alive, but they will screw the corporation into the ground, and private companies will come in. All those companies charge 3 times more than Canada Post does, and people go, "Oh well, are you sure you're not going to lose all these customers in Canada?" Well, we're not going to lose them all because most of them can't afford the other carriers, and if we're not there to keep that, equality, then those companies can charge a lot more. They're only charging 3 times more now, but they could charge 5 times more. What can you do about it? There's nobody to go to like Canada Post to deliver those parcels and deliver that mail.
So I guess the billion-dollar question is, what's the alternative then to what the CEO has laid out in his open letter to Canadians about ending door-to-door mail delivery, about taking out some rural post offices? What's the answer to get this ship back going the right way?
Well, it is a self-adjusting ship. Like I said, like there's about 15,000 less workers delivering the mail than there was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So those things are already happening. But the question gets to be is they admit, even in their quarterly report, that they made an extra 370 million in revenue. They say, "Oh, we lost money." But the reason they lost money was because they won't sign a collective agreement with us. If they had that extra revenue from the year before, they wouldn't be in the trouble that they say they're in. So, they need certain things. The first thing was they needed more revenue, and they haven't. We said that we were going to find a way to do straight time weekend delivery for them. We offered that. If those two things come to fruition, and one has, and the other one's sitting there waiting for them in a collective agreement that we've offered them, why do they need all these other things to inflict more pain on the worker?
That's what I was going to ask you. So what are the sticking points? Is weekend delivery the big thing you're offering to do, weekend delivery?
They see it the way that they, it's back and forth, and it's always a story where they go, "Oh, well, you're trying to represent people that don't work here yet." Because we're trying to up the minimum rates of wages and stuff. But they go, "Oh, we have these people that are teachers and students that just want to work Saturdays and Sundays to deliver parcels." And we're like, maybe me as a letter carrier in Halifax, I'm getting later on in my career. Maybe I want to deliver parcels on a Saturday and a Sunday, and I want to take it a little easier where I don't have to deliver those Monday volumes. Maybe that's my day off. And they won't hear of it. It's all part-time, and that causes all kinds of problems. It means that that the next generation's not going to have what we had, and that seems to be the theme in Canada. We're trying to make sure that it doesn't turn into a gig economy.
That seems to be the idea. Is the CEO says letter to be a leaner, meaner machine that can be more flexible, and that seems to speak to that we want to be more like that gig economy we've seen.
I can tell you they can't be any meaner. That's the first thing that I'd tell you, because these people are assholes from sun up to sundown. I hope you're still not, the CRTC still not bothering you guys, right?
No, we're good.
No.
Yeah.
They did call us after your last interview, but we talked them off the ledge.
I mean, there's a swear jar, Jim, for the beer fund, but other than that, you're good to go.
They really, they go out of their way to screw with workers every day. There's tens of thousands of grievances in the system. When we have something, if I go, Scott should be doing that, not me, and Scott should get paid for that, they go, shut up and grieve it. Do it now and grieve it later. So then Scott doesn't get paid for it. I'm forced to do it. I get paid, and then Scott grieves it and Scott gets paid. We're telling them ahead of time, don't do those things. But management continues to do all these crazy, stupid things, and it's costing them a ton of money, and it leads to the position that they wanted to be in today, October the 2nd, 2025. They wanted the cupboard to be empty, and they want to crush a union and got a collective agreement.
So, Jim, as we move forward now, what's the top priority from the union's perspective? I would assume it's job protection.
Well, no, the most important thing right now is to get a collective agreement that's ratifiable by the membership, which means there needs to be raises, there needs to be job protection, there needs to be health and safety concerns dealt with. All those things are there. So the collective agreement is the most important thing. And then this second thing, like I said earlier, is the government interfering and trying to cut the service to where, basically they're blowing up the post office.
Jim, the Globe and Mail had an editorial this week, I believe yesterday, where it just said the union is members are spectacularly ill-served by union leadership determined to protect a labor model that threatens the existence of Canada Post and the jobs of its workers. I don't know if you saw that editorial, but how do you respond to that kind of thinking when people say that?
I say that I'm a 37-year employee. People like Doug Ettinger are, he's been at Coca-Cola and Scottsburn and all kinds of places, some unionized, some not. None of them were a public service. These are business people. And it seems like every time we get a big business person, they don't know how to deliver a public service. And if you take your money and you're going to retire and you're putting your money in an account and you decide, hey, I'm gonna take chances, and you lose all your money. That's what these guys are like. They take chances. They said they were going to make strategic investment. They did that, and it didn't turn out. They have a plant in Toronto that they don't need because the parcel volumes went back down after COVID. It's a nice new plant, so maybe they use that one and close another one. But they do things that are not smart. A Vancouver plant, they closed the Vancouver plant, and Amazon bought it. They built a new one themselves. Amazon spent a quarter of what they did building a new plant, and Amazon is using our old plant. Those are the sorts of things that they do, and it's with Canadians' money. So if they were managing your retirement fund, it'd be empty when you went to get it.
Jim, do you expect to be ordered back to work again?
I don't expect it, but it wouldn't surprise me. I know that people are calling all kinds of ministers, including Minister Hajdu, and she'll come out and say, I can just hear it now. It's the same echo from all the other strikes. Oh, I had to order them back to work. Workers were calling me. Workers were calling you to tell you to keep your nose out of it. And all of a sudden it'll be, no, workers wanted to go back to work. Workers want to go back to work. Absolutely. That is the message, with a collective agreement that is ratifiable by the majority of the membership. 70% of the members of both bargaining units told them, we're not buying what you're selling. And for the question that you asked earlier, people are being underserved by their union. We're representing what the members are telling us. They told us they didn't want this crap, and 70% of them agreed with us.
I guess the follow-up to that, Jim, would be, would your members follow a back-to-work order?
I am not the amazing Kreskin. I know that people there were many people angry with us that we did not defy in December. They've watched teachers, nurses, other workers, CUPE with the flight attendants defy legislation, and see that there's outcomes that can be better than going back to work and waiting for the boss to cut you again, death by 1,000 cuts. So I can't speak for everybody. I know what I would do.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you just a couple more questions, Jim? We appreciate all your time. I just want to ask you to respond as well. I'm sure you saw the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses put out a statement today urging the government to immediately end this strike, send you back to work. And they pinned the blame on you. They said it's extremely disappointing that the union has chosen to punish Canada Post remaining customers rather than work with the corporation. How do you respond to that?
So I haven't seen that. You're the second interview that's mentioned it, and I wish I had seen it. But what I can say is the Federation of Independent Small Business is not our enemy. But they never reach out to us. They always put statements like this out, and sometimes it's about because our wages are higher than some of their employees' wages. But in this case, on the weekend, I was on CBC in the morning. Rosemary Barton, They had on a mayor from a town in Ontario, and then they had a guy that worked. He was a model train shop, and everybody followed what the guy at the train shop said. He said, "Oh, we need to cut jobs and we need to do all these things." The mayor said it was going to be devastating for her community, that it was catastrophic loss, that those communities need the service, and that other people don't necessarily come there, and that has to happen. We want to be there. UPS and FedEx are making more an hour than our people. We need a wage where we can live, and we need a service that we can be proud of and that Canadians can be proud of. And that's not what the government's offering. That's not what Canada Post is offering. And Doug Ettinger, he's at the end of his an 8-year stint or whatever, and this guy would not be the head of any company that was for profit, that had real shareholders. He'd be gone. So we really need a change, and the government could do us a big favor by getting rid of another guy. Alex Brisson is now the head of operations. It's bad news for Canada Post. He came from CN and screwed everything up there, and when he was done screwing things up there, he went to Canada Post. These guys are for hire henchmen that just they kill everything.
Do you think Canadians are on your side this time, Jim?
I think Canadians are. That mayor the other day saying that they need the service. Go back and look at those public 900 submissions to Bill Kaplan, and the majority of them that he ignored say that the service is essential. And I don't call it essential. Because it's needed. It needs to be there. We are a big wheel in the economic economy, or the economy engine, and we also have things like we send out ballots. People are talking about ballots these days for elections. We take care of that sort of stuff. So we're part of the democracy engine. We're all those things. And people go, "Oh, well, Canada Post, you're a dinosaur, and can't we do with less?" And then the next day it's, "Well, we got to order them back to work because we can't do without them." So just pick one. Just pick one, and I'll argue with you over it.
All right, I'm going to pick one final question to ask you, Jim. To the average person watching the show tonight or listening to the show who may not know the ins and outs of what's going on the way that, certainly the way that you do, but they hear this. The Canada Post is losing or was losing $10 million a day. That postal workers, may get paid for an 8-hour day, but if they can get their route done in 4 hours, they're good to go. Billions and billions and billions of dollars lost. To those people, what do you say?
I say that the numbers aren't what they say they are. Obviously, when you say $10 million, do you think that every day they're losing exactly $10 million? It could be 6 and they're saying 10. I don't know what the number is, and we don't want to be losing money. We think that it is a sustainable service, and that they waited, they wanted a fight. It's the same fight that they were having with us in 2016, and they have screwed it, not increased postage. How do you go through 10 years and have an increase of 2% or whatever it was? Like, there had to be a 10% increase, and that 10% increase is still lower than inflation was over those years. And now we see what the number could be at $370 million in the first 2 quarters, a little over that. That's how it's sustainable, and that's without one change otherwise. And the problem is the government's now saying we're going to close. There's 4,000 post offices that are protected under the rural moratorium, and we're going to close some of them. Which ones? Like, there's nothing there. And if we weren't in a strike position, this might happen and never make the news. That's the problem, because they'd do it and people would wake up in the morning and it'd be gone. And because all of this is going on, and because we're in a strike position, they had to be a little more open, and we caught them.
All right. Before we let you go, Jim, final word, anything that you want to add?
Canadians need to use it or lose it. The government needs to stop using multinational companies and small gig outfits where they're hiring people at minimum wage and below minimum wage in a lot of places because they're paying them by the piece, and that's not good for the economy. But people look the other way because big business people make money on the backs of workers. We've got to stop that. Canada can be a better place.
All right. From Halifax tonight, there's Jim Gallant, negotiator with Cup W. Jim, appreciate the time. Always good to see you.
Yeah, anytime, guys.
I'll tell you one thing. The boss can say a lot about our work ethic, but today we certainly did not mail it in.
No, we did not mail it in. That's a good one. That's a good one, Scott.
They call that low-hanging fruit in the biz.
You know what? I really did enjoy that conversation.
Yeah.
Because if you read the open letters we all have from the Canada Post CEO, it's very to the point. It's very succinct and blunt, and makes a point on all those things about why they're doing it, and it's pretty convincing. But there's always 7 sides to a story, right? So it's interesting to talk to a guy like Jim, who I think he said he's been doing this for 37 years.
Yeah, very
well spoken guy, and he is obviously does the rounds on the interview shows when it's time to talk about posting and stuff. But it does. It's a fascinating conversation. I mean, when you look at the numbers and you listen to what a lot of experts say, there's just no way to sustain this, and this is taxpayer money that is going toward keep propping this thing up.
No question.
But at the same time, there's lots of other things to take into consideration. So we had the conversation. People can listen and see what they think.
And we should also point out that we have reached out to the president and CEO of Canada Post, at least the comms team, to see if he would come on. And so far, no response.
So he's coming on next week?
You never know.
Never know.
You never know.
We asked.
In about 30 minutes' time, the Boston Red Sox and New York Yankees will play the third and final game of that series to see who the Toronto Blue Jays will be playing Saturday. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow night on Closer Look, Jamie Campbell, the host of Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet, to talk about all things baseball.
I'm excited about that conversation. Yeah. I love baseball. It's my favorite sport, and he's a fascinating guy because he's such a fixture in so many people's summers.
No question.
He is there. He's a constant over the left field seats there. And I'm interested to hear about just his thoughts on this team, but just on the thoughts of doing the job that he does day in and day out. It's certainly one that most people don't have an opportunity to do. It's a fascinating profession. I'm looking forward to chatting with him.
All right, closerlookpodcast.ca. Check out the website. Sign up. We'll send you brand new episodes 6 nights a week. Closer look at villagemedia.ca also if you have any questions or comments about the program. And throw us a follow on social. We're all over the place. We're back tomorrow night. Again, Jamie Campbell for Michael Friscolanti, our editor-in-chief here at Village Media. I'm Scott Sexsmith. Enjoy your night. See you tomorrow at 7 right here on Closer Look.
Frisco and Scott's Wardrobe provided in part by Moores, Sault Ste. Marie.